once I get that done, I could start going through the tasks that don't have as much tied to them and don't move me ahead as far. And so that's the first tip I can throw out there, y'all, is organize and sit down and look and say, is this something that needs to get done right now? Is it something that's going to move me ahead? And if it is, then I need to deplete my willpower on this thing. And don't worry, I'm gonna get into the science of the willpower thing, but I just wanted to get into giving you a little bit of value. So willpower is not unlimited, y'all. Um, a study found willpower works like a battery and it drains with use. That's why after a long day of making decisions, you're likely to doom scroll and eat junk food because you have to engage in tasks that don't necessarily require any decision making. Specifically, as an ADHD, or I can hit that decision fatigue really fast. I can hit that wall super fast and super hard because I might make, you know, a couple of hundred or thousand decisions in a day. And it drives Brandy crazy. It drives Brandy crazy because she's like, "Well, what do you want for dinner?" "Oh, I don't care." And then her willpower has been depleted through her day, and then she doesn't know what to do, and so then we end up having the "what are we going to have for dinner" dance, and just making the decision feels like pushing the rock back uphill. And so a lot of times when you have one of those very difficult days full of making decisions, um, you feel tired, you feel wiped out, and you're like, all I did was sit at my desk. Well, but you're still burning through your willpower, your brain, thinking and making decisions. That does actually require your energy stores. It does challenge your blood sugar and makes you have to invest that into making the decisions. So, but yeah, it's and the study was by Burmeister. They called it the ego depletion theory. Um, and there's a couple of ways they tested it. I think the test that they specifically used was putting candy in front of little kids and seeing how long it took for them to break and eat the candy, even with the idea of a reward afterwards. And they tested how well they were able to resist this temptation. And so a lot of times when your ego is depleted, your willpower is gone, you also eat junk food. Well, your body is trying to reclaim a little bit of the stores that you burnt up with all the low leverage tasks that you involved yourself in. And so I just want y'all to understand that, bro. And so a couple of things I do is when I try to make my workout one of the hardest things I do. Now, that's not always the case, but I try to make it one of the hardest things I do. And I do it first thing in the morning. If I don't work out in the morning, I'm not going to work out at all. And the reason why is if I can make this the most difficult thing I do, and then come home and eat and rebuild my stores and then get into my work, I have a new, refreshed store of willpower to kind of plow through. And it helps me out. That's the reality. The unfortunate side of things is we have been sold a bill of goods when it comes to how willpower actually works. We've been sold a bill of goods. And what I mean by that is um, a lot of times we've been sold, you're just not disciplined. The David Goggins stuff, you know, it's mind over matter. And all you got to do is push through. And because you refuse to push through the wall, you're weak, you're undisciplined. It's a lot of that negativity around the concept of willpower. And unfortunately, y'all, we internalize a lot of that stuff. And we end up punishing ourselves and we do even more things to remove our stores of willpower. Like I said, you work through lunch, you skip breakfast, you do things like that, which actually hamstring your ability to actually have the reserves to get the things done. So I learned probably about 10 years ago that if I had a task that was difficult or something that required a lot of my brain energy, I did it when my willpower was high. So I always, like, if I had to meet with my staff, I always schedule my meetings in the morning because in the afternoons, I need to be focusing on things that don't require a lot of my brain power. Um, and that's how I kind of set it up. And I structured my schedule to accommodate that. I tried to throw in the midday workout, and That wasn't working for me. But I tried to schedule my day so that I was I was nourished, I had food in my system, my blood sugar was in a good position, and that gave me the willpower to power through. Again, the science actually says that a lot of this is tied, um, and I don't want to screw this word up. I think it's the glycogen. I'm not sure. It's either glucose or glycogen, but it's basically your blood sugar that you have stored. That's what determines what your willpower is. And as you deplete that, as you start chewing through that resource, skipping meals, working through lunch, you're going to find that your willpower hits a wall a lot faster. Okay. So I just want to put that out there. The science backs me up on this. Willpower is a finite resource. And the thing I need you to do as your coach in the box on the screen, the thing I need you to do is stop beating yourself up because you feel like you lack willpower, because that's not what the case is. You're just not taking advantage of the times that you do have with willpower and scheduling your tasks in that manner. And like I said, I'm a guinea pig on this one because I was working the lab. I tested this on myself. And so again, when I have activities that are going to require a lot of my brain power, I front load those. Okay. ADHD brains don't lack discipline. We lack dopamine. um, a JAMA study found we have lower dopamine in the areas that control motivation. It's not like we don't care. It's that our brains aren't getting the uh, signal as easily. They're not getting that green light as easily. And so having ADHD stacks another thing against you, because now we are depleting our willpower reserves, but we also lack we're also lacking the dopamine to get things moving as well. And so these are challenges that we stack up against ourselves. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I know, and I don't know if there's any official science behind this, but this is me just spitballing here. I have a feeling that a lot of business owners probably, if they haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, um, they're just waiting for a diagnosis. Okay. So I'm going to run this down here regarding the willpower thing. Willpower runs out like a battery. And the only way that you improve, if your phone's battery is dying, how do you fix it? If your battery is running out on your phone, what do you do? What's the next step for you? You got to recharge it. And there are simple ways to recharge it. Um, and but if you're low on battery, you put on the battery saver. If you got an Android, I don't know about iPhones if they have that capability, but you have to put on the battery saver and find ways to save your energy until you're ready to engage with that big, hairy, ugly, difficult task. Okay. So yeah, but yeah, it runs like a battery. And I think a lot of times we mistake, we pretend like when the battery runs out, we think that it's a lack of discipline, and it's really not. So but yeah, it's more like a phone battery. The more decisions you make or self-control you use, so if you're using your self-control, the more it drains. That's why by the end of the day, you're likely to procrastinate and make impulse choices. This is why you're on Sheen shopping in bed at night, or you're putting off other things that may